Hi, everyone. It's Brenda. I'm back again with another guest on the X podcast. Today I've got on Melissa Hoffman. Hi, Melissa. How are you doing today?
Hi, Brenda. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so great to have you on here. And so everyone knows that Melissa is a mindset coach, a hypnotherapist, and a breathworks facilitator. That's like a powerful combination, like a
Yeah.
little a powerful triad there of skills and abilities. What does that look like? Like who do you help, Melissa? How do you help them? Just kind of give us like the nuts and bolts of kind of what you do.
Yeah, so I work with women entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs who know they're meant for more and they've been suffering from good girl conditioning and people pleasing and perfectionism, all those things that, following the path of what you should do and not really listening to your own inner compass and helping them to not only like have clarity on what they want and to feel more like they can be themselves, to feel worthy of having what they want and to be able to just show up as their unapologetic, authentic selves and just feel really confident in that.
I love it. And so you talked about entrepreneurs, but also aspiring entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely the audience that comes in to listen to us on the X every week. Because I love, talking to women that are saying corporate jobs. That was me 6 years ago, feeling burnt out, trying to go for the next promotion, the next company move that would just like sort of satiate my like longing appetite for worthiness, really, a lack of a better way of saying it, and just never finding it. Kind of like the mountain has no top. Like I'm just like climbing and never reaching the top. And yeah, I learned a lot more about meditation. I actually quit my job. I went on a gap year for a year. And during that time, I did like a 12-week meditation series. Then I learned about EFT tapping and I did work around that. But up until then, I had no tools like that. It's not like in corporate, they teach you these things. Like it's not coming from the HR department, the benefits team. And I had some of
Definitely
those
not.
teams report into me in my department. So it's like, I can say that. Like we never taught that stuff. And maybe people go to external practitioners with their benefits plans or their medical plans, but most of the time it was kind of like, no, we just have like, SWAT meetings and strategy meetings, but we'd never talk about mindset. We'd never talk about like the thoughts and feelings that we have about the work that we're doing. Um, well, so how does your work like help folks out like that? I'm just kind of curious in those situations.
Yeah. So, yeah, these are all things that we're not taught. And we are taught to prioritize like hustle and to be productive and to always be busy. And we're never taught to prioritize like self care and like taking a moment for ourselves or putting our needs and desires before taking care of everyone else. And so that is the work that I help my women like do. And so I help them to not only be able to take better care of themselves when it comes to dealing with like burnout or feeling overwhelmed or feeling stuck, but also like having tools that they can use to manage that, but also to really connect with themselves and create more mindfulness and take charge of their thoughts. Because so often we can get into these like hamster wheels of thoughts where it just feels like everything is negative, everything is out of our control. And so helping them to realize that your thoughts are really powerful and your thoughts can create your reality and what you want, and that you have control over that. And so that is like part of what I do. And it's not only your thoughts, it's also your body too. And there's a huge connection between your mind body. I mean, we hear that all the time, mind body connection.
Yeah.
And so not only working with your mindset and creating more empowering thoughts and beliefs and like patterns, but also releasing any like stuck energy and like negative emotions in the body. So that way you just feel like you're more in flow. You feel more at peace. Things feel more at ease for you.
I love it. But here's the thing too, is that I think that some of the things that plague us as entrepreneurs, it could be burnout. It could be like, like thoughts that are limiting us. But sometimes, and, we're a part of a weekly mastermind. And, even this morning we were talking to some women about taking action in their business. And it's kind of like, I've got all these things that I want to do, but I can't get to it. And it's not necessarily a situation of like, burnout, despair, depression, because I think sometimes we go to that side of the spectrum, but it could just be like, I've got a lot of stuff on my plate and I can't sort through, should I do A or B or A, B, and C or C, B, A, and then we just get into this, like you said earlier, like hamster wheel spiral. So how can like say breathworks or, having these mindset techniques that you talked about, like hypnotherapy, help in those situations?
Yeah. So when you feel like you're in that situation where you're not taking action and maybe you like have all these ideas or you know what to do and you're not doing it, I think the first place to start is to look at like why you're not. And so often like we tell ourselves, well, I'm just too busy. I just have too much going on. And maybe that's true. Maybe you do have like your calendar is very full. And so that could be a question of prioritizing, like looking at your calendar and setting aside time, making sure that you are prioritizing what's important to you. Maybe it's getting clear on what your why is, why you want to do this and why it's so important, and letting that be have more weight than like all the excuses that you might have. And also sometimes it's coming from a place of not feeling worthy or not feeling good enough. And so if there is some tasks that you're putting off, you're procrastinating on because, and it's for your business, and you find yourself just not doing it and you're not sure why. Well, looking inside and seeing, well, am I scared? Am I afraid of what people are going to say if I, make a post on Instagram or something? And like when you can identify what that is, sometimes it kind of relieves the pressure, and then you can address that. Well, why don't I feel good? Why am I afraid? And then work on that. And that's where a lot of these tools come in, like listening to a hypnosis. Like if you find yourself feeling like you're not good enough, maybe finding a hypnosis audio that helps to program in why you are good enough. Or if you're afraid of showing up on Instagram, like maybe you have a live coming up, or you should do a live and you keep putting it off. Finding a practice, like I find breath work is really helpful to feel more calm and centered, and also to feel more energized and feel more confident in like my body and in myself. Like I even did breath work before this podcast because I was feeling a little nervous. So that's where, so that's where these tools can come in to help you when you find that you're not taking action, you're not doing the things that you tell yourself that you want to be doing.
The fact that you just did breathworks before our podcast, because I think what I'm also hearing from you too is that you don't have to do these things when you're already not feeling great. You can do these things to be proactive. Like once you have these tools under your belt, it's like, okay, I'm doing a podcast. I'm going to do some breathworks because I know it's going to make myself feel better, right? And it's going to make me feel more grounded. Versus I did the podcast, I was feeling nervous throughout the whole thing, and now I don't address it, and it's 2 weeks later and it's like piled up, and now I'm like, this, like for me, it's like the solid rock. Like for everyone that's like listening to the audio, it's like my shoulders like clench up. I just like, I'm so tight, right? Physically, I have to go to my physiotherapist or my massage therapist to like kind of break me down again. The other thing that you mentioned in there too, which I think is also, for all the entrepreneurs out there that are listening, or business leaders, business owners, the nice, I think, the sort of like symbiotic relationship between someone like Melissa and myself is that I'm like the business coach. I will talk to you about like prioritizing, and here's some like great tools. Let's try the Pomodoro method, like all that sort of stuff. And then, and you've talked to it too, because you're also a business owner. You're also an entrepreneur, like, okay, how do I manage my tasks? Things like that. But now you've got this complement where it's like, okay, let's bring in the breathworks, the hypnotherapy, because I think for entrepreneurs, especially if we've come from the corporate world, we do have all this conditioning of like, okay, well, there's like tools and spreadsheets and techniques that we can use to plan our time better and be more strategic. That's me. I've got that in spades. I can show you how to do that. But then you kind of need, I think right now, where we're seeing things in business is like, that stuff doesn't always work. It's like, it's the masculine energy, right? And I think as women entrepreneurs, we also have to be okay bringing in the feminine energy, and the work that you do, the things that you do to serve your clients, the hypnotherapy, the breath works, it's definitely touching into that feminine energy. So I think like that my message for like all entrepreneurs out there is that you kind of need like a Brenda and a Melissa in your business to really get that holistic approach for you, versus just doing what you've always done from that corporate masculine energy. This is your time now to design your business how you want.
Yeah, exactly. And so many of us left the corporate space because we didn't like somebody telling us what to do and when to do it, and having to spend like, all our time, like maybe we're working like 10, 12-hour days. And so you don't want to like just trade that and start doing that in your business too. Like you started your business because you wanted to have more time freedom and you wanted to have more ease and be in charge of your day and your schedule. And so that's where having that balance of the masculine and the feminine is so key for being a successful business owner. And also making sure that you don't get into all those old habits that you were in your corporate job, like overworking or burnout or perfectionism, like having that balance so you can create the business that you want and create a business that feels really good for you to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And just know, like, intuitively, because if you've come off of this corporate, track, what's the word I'm looking for? Path or track, that intuitively this might not necessarily come to you easily. So I
Yeah.
think by partnering with somebody like yourself,
Hmm.
so how would somebody work with you? If they're like, hey, you know what, I'm an entrepreneur and some of these things that Brenda and Melissa are talking about now are definitely hitting the mark. What would that experience look like?
Yeah, so I work with women one on one right now, and you can work with me for 6 months, or I have like a 6 week sprint um, package that you can do as well. And so, if you know you need like a lot of support when it comes to feeling confident, to feeling worthy, to having that clarity for what you want, and like building up like your nervous system to feel safe to receive it and to be able to hold like the success that you dream of for yourself, then you're going to want to work with me for 6 months. And that's like we have weekly calls, and I use like all of the tools that I have, like whether it's tapping or hypnosis or breath work or all, coaching, to really figure out like what is going to be the best way to help support you in that journey. And then if you have something specific that you're working on, or you're not sure if like, oh, I don't know if I want to commit to 6 months, then my 6 week package would be best. And this is really for people that know, like, I have this one thing that I need to get over. Like maybe it's a fear of being visible. You're afraid to show up on podcasts or speak. You have a public speaking fear, and you want to get over that because you know that's holding you back from seeing success in your business. Then my 6 week package would be perfect for you.
Yeah, almost like just like a mini boot camp, right? Like, oh,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
call it a sprint, which is cool.
Yeah.
So what would be like one thing right now, again, not to kind of like put you on the spot, that you would, like what's like a favorite tool or,
Yeah.
a helpful, tip that you would share with some of your women entrepreneur clients?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I have so many favorites. um, Probably one of my favorite things to do is add pleasure to your day. So
Mm,
if you are struggling with, like, let's say you have a lot of activities, a lot of tasks that you have to do in your business, and you're just really dreading it, and they feel like they are like not things that you want to do. They're boring. Always add something that is pleasurable or makes the experience feel good for you. And it's going to help you to not only like do it, but like enjoy it. And then you're not necessarily like putting it off or procrastinating on it because it just like you just don't want to do it. And so it could be as simple as like creating a beautiful environment for where you work. Maybe you change things up. Instead of working at your desk, you go work in your bed where it's nice and cozy, or
mm,
you put on, you have candles lit, so you're really setting the stage for like pleasure and like feeling good about what you're doing. It can also be like having a drink that you like to drink, like your favorite coffee or tea, or like I make iced tea a lot, like, or water with lemon and mint when I'm
mhm.
working, because that just makes it feel more special. Or it could be like what you're wearing. Maybe you wear like your favorite lipstick, and it just like makes you feel so confident as you're like writing content, or you're, paying bills. I don't know. But if
Yeah.
you can add some kind of pleasure using your thinking of your five senses and how you
Mm,
can bring those in to add to the experience, listening to music in the background that like feels good. Or actually, I like to listen to subliminal audios to program my mind like while I'm working.
cool.
Yeah, like that's like, really cool. So yeah, that's like one of my biggest hacks, because so often we think, we come from the corporate world, and it's like, you got to focus, and you got to be on your computer, and you got to be serious. And
Yeah.
then, you have things that, like you want to do for your business, but they're just boring. I mean, I don't like creating content. Like I have to kind of make myself sit down. So how can I make that a more pleasurable experience? It's going to make sure I do it. I'm going to feel more creative. I'm going to feel more confident as I'm like doing the activity, or just I'm just going to feel better. And so then that's going to help to create that consistency and create that habit.
I love that. And I like how you mentioned about the five senses. For me, I'm already thinking about it. I've got to do some work tomorrow on Friday. I've been recording all these podcasts this week. And so I'm going to be editing a bunch of podcasts. I think this afternoon, I'm going to go out and buy some flowers for myself and put
Yes.
it on my workstation desk, right? So
Yes.
the five senses, I'll get the
Mm-hmm.
scent of flowers, I'll get the visual,
Yes.
instead of just always looking at the same stuff like
Yes.
notepads and pens. And I have colored pens to make it kind of more exciting,
Oh,
but it's
that's a
just,
fun one too. Colored pens. I love that one.
yeah.
And fun highlighters.
But I think, yeah, like, so I always have colored pens. So like maybe that doesn't necessarily spark some type
Yes.
of, beauty or joy for me right now, but
Yes.
adding flowers on my desk might. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm actually really inspired to do that this afternoon to get ready for tomorrow. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And that's
awesome.
something simple that anyone can like start doing right now without having to learn like something new.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and to look forward to the work that you have to get
Yes.
done versus like the drudgery of like your to-do list and oh, if I have to do all this stuff, it's going to lead to burnout. Because we do, I hate to say this, and and I'm not trying to minimize anybody that's going through those type of experiences, but the term burnout has really been amplified, especially through
Hmm.
social media. And so it's like almost like if there's like three things on our to-do list, immediately we feel burnout. And it's like, really? Like we can get some things done without actually
Yeah.
exhausting ourselves. So I
Yeah.
do think like your point about adding pleasure to the day and making the work seem fun and joyful versus
Hmm.
drudgery. So that's a
Yeah.
cool tip for
And
sure.
that's bringing in that feminine energy with
Yeah.
your masculine task.
Yeah, absolutely. So, where can people find you if they want to pursue this more and learn more about your
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. So they can find me on Instagram. That's my favorite social media platform. And I'm at Melissa M. Hoffman with two N's on there. And then you can find me on my website. It's melissahoffman.com, where you can learn all about like my story and how we can work together. And yeah, those are the two main places that I'm at.
Okay, cool. And you're going to be sending us a link to
Yes.
a gift, something that we can check
Yes.
out and learn from you
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. So if you're like listening to this and you're like, "Ooh, I'm kind of curious about hypnosis, but I don't really know what that is," or "I'm curious about breath work, I want to experience that," or meditation, I have a private podcast and it's free. And you can sign up for it and get 4 different audios that are going to help support you um, through feeling more confident, through feeling safe to receive what you want, to feeling more creative. It's going to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. And so there's a breathwork audio that will take you through a breathwork session with me to help you clear out any stuck energy and just to feel like really grounded and safe in your vision for what you want. And there are 2 hypnosis audios, and there is also a future self meditation. So you can connect with who you see yourself as, who you want to be as this successful entrepreneur, and feeling like you are connected to her now so you can start showing up as her.
I can't wait to listen to them because I do listen to a lot of audio meditations, like from Insight Timer, Calm app, etc. But I'm also excited to listen to them from you because you're also a woman entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So, I think that just even whether or not you're talking to that specific audience through those recorded episodes, it's just more knowing that that's your background, that's what you're all about. It's going to come through. So I'm excited to listen
Yeah.
to them. So thanks for sharing those links with us.
Yeah. You're so welcome.
And my last question for you is because you're an entrepreneur, I kind of want to go a little bit behind the scenes into your
Yeah.
business. So what's one thing that you're doing this year to add like more reach or generate more leads in your business, connect with more audiences? I'm just kind of curious if you want to share that with us, just because we're all entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So my thing this year is to be on more podcasts.
Oh,
And yeah, so to be in front of other people's audiences where there's women that who would be interested in what I have that I can share like helpful tips with and value and yeah, and reach them. And also it helps me with my own, like I have a fear of public speaking. So the more podcasts that I'm on, it's really like pushing my edges of comfort and confidence. And so, and I find the more that I am on podcasts, the more I show up, like the easier it is for me and the more confident I feel. And just really owning that leadership part of my business. So that's what I'm doing this year.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I encourage you, but also other women that are hearing that and going, also have a fear of public speaking. You're like 10 out of 10. You've been like an awesome podcast guest. So you need to
Oh,
definitely
thank
do
you.
more.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, go do more of them. You're really good. I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. If I was like,
Oh,
not so much, don't do that. Change your goal.
thank you. I
No, but
appreciate
definitely do
that.
more of them for sure. Melissa, thanks so much for being on the podcast today and sharing all of your brilliance, your knowledge. I can't wait to listen to your podcast episodes and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Brenda. Thanks for having me.